Hello again, Chris Lee and Jay Greeson of Southeastern 16 here to give you three bold predictions for Florida football this coming year. Before we get there, reminder, we are brought to you by FanDuel. I'll have Jay give us a FanDuel prop on the Gators he likes in just a moment. FanDuel has player props, same game parlays, as FanDuel's SGP menu is deep and impressive, so you can really build some fun combinations around player performances and game outcomes. FanDuel has you covered with competitive odds and tons of betting options. Just remember to bet responsibly and have fun with it. Jay, what catches your eye at FanDuel regarding the Gators' upcoming season?
Well, a couple things. I like the plus money. It's plus 102 on FanDuel to go over Florida's win total of 7.5. And I think one of the more interesting markets that FanDuel has offered for our Florida fans out there has kind of been the roller coaster of odds on DJ Lagway winning the Heisman. It was under 2,000, and then he showed up to preseason practice in a boot, which kind of reignited some injury concerns. It got to 2,800. It got to, in some markets, right at plus 3,000, which means if you bet $100 and he does win the Heisman, you win $3,000. But now it is all the way back down to minus 2,000, which tells me that a lot of folks either are betting on Lagway to win the Heisman as Vegas adjusts the market to limit risk and one-sided payouts, or if the reports they believe as they set the algorithms had the walking boot as just a precaution more than anything as the Gators started preseason practice.
Channel also brought to you by GameTime Sidekicks, officially licensed stainless steel drinkware. You can see my 40-ounce cup I use for water every morning. Actually, it's not a cup, it's a tumbler. They've got all SEC schools, over 350 more universities. It is top of the market quality for construction and ice retention, and also just a beautiful item. They've literally got thousands of these at their site. Tons of designs and logos for each school, even the college vault line, everything from stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, and shaker cups. Use promo code SE16 for 20% off your entire order at GameTime Sidekicks. Jay Greeson, let's start with you. Your first bold prediction for the Florida Gators.
I have Florida quarterback DJ Lagway being invited to the Downtown Athletic Club for the Heisman ceremony. I'm a believer in this kid. 6-1 as a starter. The numbers weren't always there, but in your first stint as a starter, and that loss was when he got knocked out against Georgia. When they had a second quarter lead and then he got injured. So look, I think this kid is as critical to any program in the country as one player is. And the way he has redirected the narrative around Florida head coach Billy Napier, who this time last year was on the hottest seat in the country. And some were wondering if he was going to survive to get to Halloween. And DJ Lagway swooped in, corrected everything on the field, and then also helped in the recruiting process as Florida churned in the offseason as well as almost anyone. So the Florida Gators are in a strikingly different place this time in August 2025 than they were even 10, 11 months ago.
Yeah, the stats for DJ Lagway last year were mixed, 12 touchdowns, 9 picks, but also 10 yards a throw, which is amazing. But, hey, the biggest stat in quarterbacks to me and for anybody, do you help your team win? Hey, look at the way they ended when he started. They beat LSU. They beat Ole Miss. They beat Florida State, among others. Those were the 3 games in which, or 3 of the 4 games, actually 3 of the 5 games in which he had double-digit completions, the other 2 being Tulane in a bowl game that they won in a romp, and the Sanford game early in the season where he threw for 456 yards. Yeah, I think the thing, though, Florida got better when DJ Lagway was behind center. Winning games as a quarterback is what gets you to Heisman. ceremonies. And I think DJ Lagway in his first full year on campus really checked that box a year ago when he was the dude.
I don't think there's any doubt. And this year, the players around him, especially in the skill positions, are decidedly better. I mean, Dallas Winston is going to be the next great freshman wide receiver as long as he's healthy. And then if Eugene Wilson, no relation, or as Forrest Gump likes to say, we are no relation. If Eugene Wilson can stay healthy, that's two electric playmakers on the perimeter. And Jaden Ball is quietly one of the best running backs in the league. Nobody talks about.
Yeah.
And DJ Lagway gets to play behind Jake Slaughter and Austin Barber are going to be NFL first or second day picks.
Come on, man. You stole my thunder. You know I always go to offensive line in your protection. You took that one from me.
I didn't steal your thunder. It's called a lead-in, Chris. It's a lead-in.
There you go. There you go. Well, hey, here's my lead-in. I'm going to give my prediction, then Jay will give his prediction. Those will be our three. I really like this team for all the reasons you mentioned, plus the defense. A bonus prediction, I was going to give you Tyreek Sapp leads the SEC in sacks, which I think could happen. So there's your bonus. But the one I'm going to expound on, and boy, this is a state of things in college football, if anything. And this is going to sound like a backhanded compliment to Florida, and it is not. I think Florida is about to be the best 8-4 team in the history of college football and not make the playoff. And the reason is you've got a little bit of doubt with Lagway, but that's not the big thing. It's not about Florida at all. In fact, I might put Florida in at 8-4 because the schedule, you've got 7 teams that are getting some playoff discussion. LSU, Miami, Texas A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee. Now, all those teams are not going to make the playoffs. But some people out there are making a case for each of those. 3 of those on the road, 1 on a neutral site. Look, it is time we really get our stuff together with strength of schedule and giving you credit for who you beat, because some of these teams don't play that are going to make the playoff, won't play 3 teams, maybe not even 2, like those 7 that Florida's going to play. I really believe in Billy Napier. I believed in him for a couple of years, even when it's not popular. I love the direction of their program. I love their recruiting. I love that he is keeping players on the roster because, boy, you look at that 2 deep, there's a lot of kids returning. It's not about Florida. It's just about that schedule. And when you play those teams and anything goes wrong and stuff has already gone with DJ Lagway, I just don't like their margin of error one bit. Look, I could be wrong. Florida could be good enough to win those games and make the playoff. And I would hope to God that if Florida goes 9-3, common sense would prevail in a way it didn't last year and the Gators make the playoffs. But I'm just concerned for those reasons, Jay.
Well, and that's a fair concern because you're talking about a team with 6-7 games against ranked opponents, and that's short selling a couple of really good teams they're playing. Because we don't know really if it's going to be the FSU of 2023 or the FSU of 2024 or somewhere in between, which would make a rivalry game add to the list of challenging options. But I'm going to add one more sneaky one before I get to my final one because I did this in, I think, one of our preview shows, but I believe this one. And I don't think FanDuel has the betting market for the Remington Award. But I think Jake Slaughter is a first-team All-American at center and wins the Remington as the best center in the country. But my other big picture for the Florida Gators is along your lines. Not only am I said at the beginning, I'm bullish on them over 7.5 wins at plus money at FanDuel. I think they get to at least 8, and I think there are still a lot of people who doubt Billy Napier, and it's going to force Florida to look about, and he's going to get an extension if he gets to 8 wins with that schedule. Whether that makes Brian Edwards and some of our buddies who are Florida fans happy or not, that's my prediction, is that Billy Napier is going to get an extension at the end of this year.
Yeah, I think it'll be deserved. But by the way, one more note on the schedule. I'm running that with about 45 teams that are plus 1,000 or better at FanDuel playoff odds. Florida's schedule on a per-game basis is a 1.5 tougher on average if you factor in home field. based on a model I put together than the number 2 team, which is South Carolina. Like, you compare Florida's schedule to some other teams. I'm just going to give you some random teams in the playoff universe at some other conferences. And again, this is about the SEC. As soon as I can pull these up here. Yeah, I mean, the Gators, for example, their average game is about, oh gosh, I think it's at least a touchdown greater than Michigan or Ohio State, which are the next best teams on this thing I put together. Yeah, it is actually, yeah, Florida's average game is about 5 points tougher than Michigan's average game. And Michigan, outside the SEC, by what I've put together, is going to have the toughest schedule. And Ohio State is right there at the same number among 9 SEC playoff contenders. That just tells you how brutal this is, and it's time the committee wakes up and realizes how much tougher the schedule some of these SEC heavyweights play, and honor that accordingly.
Well, as long as they don't ask Kurt Signetti what he thinks about the SEC schedule. So.
Right. And that's with Long Island, which is basically a 0 on your strength of schedule to start.
There's not even a line on FanDuel on that because they're going to put 70 on the Long Island tees.
Yeah, that's basically factoring that in too, by the way. So anyway, all right, last bold prediction. This one's back to you, Jay.
Well, I've given 3, but then I'm going to throw this last one to you. Provided he starts the year healthy, Dallas Wilson is the first Florida Gator to exceed 1,000 yards in receiving this century.
Dallas or Eugene?
Dallas.
Wow. You think he's that good? They've got a couple of 5-star recruits in that room. In addition to Eugene, who, if he could stay healthy last year, would have put up much bigger numbers. Yeah, I mean, the more I look at this team, that there's so much here to like.
Yes. And one of the things, Chris, that as we're breaking down going across the league here on Southeastern 16, you've heard me say this before. I get plucking starters on your offense out of the portal. LSU going to get a left tackle to fill a void. Florida going to get the Sturdivant kid to be among the wide receivers core. But if I can look at your defense and you've got very few portal additions, you've just had guys you've built from within who have been through the wars with each other, then I like your defense. And Florida has a grand total, looking at their current depth chart, they have a grand total of 3 portal guys in the last cycle in their 2 deep on each side of the ball. And one of them is former Tennessee quarterback Harrison Bailey, who may not even be in the 2 deep by the time the season starts.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 2 deep that I've got for them. I mean, it is just loaded with guys who are returnees. It's basically close to about 20. And my 2 deep may not be right. I may be off by a number or 2 or a player or 2. But the point you're making, as I look at what I put together, underscores that bat. They brought in a transfer, Michael Caraway from Southern Miss, and a couple of high school kids, and maybe Ben Hanks and Drake Stubbs. This is a few weeks before the season, so I don't know how it's going to pan out. Other than that, I think everybody else on that 2 deep that I put together was on the roster a year ago, Jay.
Which, especially the way that team redirected not only its season, but you have to believe the morale in the room. A lot of those guys now are to a place of belief that it's honestly hard to fathom the turnaround. And I give a whole lot of the credit to DJ Lagway and the belief everybody in that program has in that kid. But from 10 months ago, this is a completely different aura around Gainesville.
Yeah, completely. Well, as we're going to close it, I know there's a lot of props on the Gators that you like for the coming season. I'll ask you to come up with one on the way out. As Jay is coming up with that, a reminder, we're brought to you by ROKFORM, ROKFORM. It's the world's strongest magnetic phone case, and boy, is it strong. I've got one. Extreme protection with super strong magnets, and it's got lock secure mounting. It is the most durable and multifunctional phone case and accessories you'll find at ROKFORM. Quality is paramount. You can expect the same military-grade standards with their case accessories as you do the actual cases. Go to ROKFORM.com. Use promo code SEC25. That's SEC25. Get 25% off your entire order. And as we close, we remind you about our partners at FanDuel, where they have player props, same game parlays, and covered with competitive odds on anything and everything. Jay, what have you got on the Gators that you see that you like here at FanDuel?
Well, I'm bullish on Florida. I've already said that I think DJ Lagway will get invited to the Downtown Athletic Club. So I would have zero problem putting money on Lagway to win the Heisman at plus 2,000. But I think among all those difficult games that you mentioned, and some of them are strikingly hard, I'm calling Florida to win outright over Georgia.
Ooh, wow. Well, that will be the most interesting game that those two have played in a while if that happens. It's one of the most fun rivalries in college sports. I'm looking forward to that being more competitive than it's been for the most part of the last decade. And I'm with you. I think the Gators, I don't know if they'll win it, but I think if they stay healthy and catch some breaks, that they've got the guys to make it interesting. All right, Jay, enjoyed doing this with you. As always, we cover baseball, football, and basketball here year-round at Southeastern 16. If you like it, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, tell a friend, and just come back and watch us again. We'll have you covered wall-to-wall during football season. For Jay Greeson, I'm Chris Lee. You've been watching our football content here at Southeastern 16. God bless you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again very soon.